Thank you very much. Should I use the microphone or? Okay. Microphone.
Yeah.
Better? Okay, well, no? It should be, but no.
Yeah, it should be better.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be here, and I think it's important to actually talk about this stuff in the place with arguably the best local organization. As far as I understand, the longest uninterrupted we use local government anywhere in the world. And it was great to establish that everybody. Despite my name, I'm Ukrainian. I was in Boston, Denmark. I do work on presentation learning and evaluation. I'm a hardcore and open research, let's say. But for the past year, I have been working on the research and the government part, and also on data science and peer review, because it's how our people is steered, and it's how we implicitly choose the directions which we are encouraging for location and further research and funding. This year I'm a volunteer video, and there I have a policy on the why talk about this? But nothing will happen without data, we all know that as well. And as field matures, we need to start talking about more sustainable ways to do this research, and how to go beyond English and models which are as high performing as ChatGPT. And also, I think there's a pretty wide agreement that it would be a wide idea to rely on a sole proprietary provider of such a universal use technology everywhere in the world. I will also show you some practical things that are already done and can be done on these fronts. So maybe these are first directions. I give this talk everywhere because this is what's happening in the community on the inside, how we're trying to basically self-regulate, and how hard it is get. So everybody has heard about this thing, and nothing that I will say will negate the fact that it does seem to work like that. This example was one of the earliest examples of how great it is. It was very widely emphasized. I seen at like 12 articles which shared it as an example of this is like 10th level AI. So somebody asked it to write a biblical verse in the style of King James Bible, explaining how to remove the peanut butter sandwich from a VCR. So seems like a decent compositional task in which it needs to do several things and do it the right way. It needs to know what a peanut butter sandwich is and how to remove it. It needs to know the style. And it managed very well, arguably, right? The style is very fluent. And it even knows that sandwich is something flat. Take a button out and carefully insert it between the sandwich and the VCR. remove it. So it doesn't seem to know what should be going on with it, right? Well, except of course it didn't. So I just tried to reproduce this very example, but when I was typing the example in, I made a small mistake and I typed PBR instead of the PCR. And I got this output. Again, we have a very good English Bible style. But now it thinks that the PR is something like a device and PR partisan, which is something that can be wiped off. Which of course won't work because that's random. But this was a mistake. I had no idea what CBR was. So I asked it what it meant. At which point it confessed that it had no idea. But I persevered, and I asked again how to remove the body standard from PCR. And I got the same wrong response as the case related to TDR. Again, with fluent EJ by but now the instructions are wrong. So whatever it's doing, it's not actually realizing what the advanced standard is. So, this seems to work like magic, and the worst part is that the wrong people are taking it very seriously. This is an actual US senator who went on Twitter and said that, ChatGPT told itself to do advanced chemistry. And this is Dr. Mitchell, director of the Institute, who on Twitter said, "Senator, you have no idea what we're talking about." So, this hype is not very entirely harmless. If these people take it very seriously, we may end up with the wrong kind of rules for the future. Plus, of course, there's a situation in which we and the researchers ended up that even of these submission deadline is in 2 weeks, and I'm honestly concerned that half of the submissions will be of the type ChatGPT can or cannot do X, right? And this is not even a very meaningful question to us because we have trained on what it is. It was literal if we recommend the trench code. And if we can't know what it was trained on, then we can't really evaluate it anyway. It's only meaningful if we know that whether it's generalized or not. That we don't know. And in addition to all of that, there's of course the question of what about the data? And one interesting question here is, does ChatGPT actually produce original content? And OpenAI is in an interesting situation here because they can't say either yes or no. If they say yes, then who owns that original content, and how much credit do I get as the prompter, and how much credit does the OpenAI get, or ChatGPT itself? I have seen this one paper that actually found an author. If no, then who are the original content creators and why aren't they paid? So they can't really say either yes or no, and they have to kind of navigate between this. If you ask ChatGPT itself, it will deny that it has imagination, intuition, it will deny that it has creativity. And I guess this is a scripted response, the official position of OpenAI. But it will say that it is capable of providing original and combining something in ways that have not been observed before. So original but not creative, which is an interesting combination. This is also interesting legally because maybe you know about Section 230. This is the section in the US legislation which so far allowed people to YouTube and everybody to not be responsible for user content, because they just platform. Say, I just providing the platform and it's the users who design the content, and the users are responsible for whatever is there. But if now you don't just give the search result, but you provide a summary by your AI, are you now responsible or not? And this is an interesting question on which one of the Supreme Court justices already opined, and this is an interesting line of legal discovery to follow in the nearest years. and this is not an idle question. There is already one case for defamation because OpenAI made up some false and misleading information about the radio host, and they actually are suing OpenAI for disseminating false information about them. So, are they deployers of chatbots as ChatGPT responsible for what chatbots are producing? The other interesting question is where is the training data? And one part of that story we know. OpenAI was exposed for paying less than paying minimal wage for screening the toxic content, creating this nice filter on ChatGPT, this is why ChatGPT is able to say, no, I'm not allowed to do this and write this. And this is how it happened. And here also, actually, there is an interesting legal development because for the first time, this spring Meta fails to dismiss local African case against itself. So far, they were able to only get sued on terms of favorable to them. This is the first time that they will be brought to court in that, where the labor condition happens. So, also interesting to see what is going to happen. Then there's this. Microsoft is being sued for piracy. And that's over the GitHub Copilot. If you haven't read the I recommend it. It was an open source developer who also happened to be a lawyer who spearheaded this effort, and I like how he put it. Okay, we didn't do it for money, we didn't do it for money, but we didn't do it for nothing. We did it for our community, we did it for our reputation, for our needs. We can't just take over. So like that. There's also a class action lawsuit by the artist against OpenAI for the for use of their art without their consent. And the OpenAI defense against all that is, of course, they freedom of fair use. So basically, everything that they can see is theirs to use in their legitimate business interest. But also interestingly, they say that the lawsuit didn't identify particular copyrighted works or contracts they breached. Usually, when you come to court, you need to say, okay, this specific thing happened to me, and I suffered this specific damages. Of course, if they never disclose their training data, then they, in principle, cannot harm anybody, generally, right? As long as nobody can prove that they have this specific. Anybody would have a hard time to say that because somebody's work was used in this way, the model is now actually able to displace these people from the way they were earning their living, for example, as an artist. So you can't factually prove that your income was decreased as a result of OpenAI. So they are in a very nice legal position if they are able to hold. And finally, if you look at the terms of use, which you agreed to by using OpenAI, it will prohibit you from class action, and it will prohibit you from using the right by file for trial by jury. So by using ChatGPT, whatever happens, if some sustained damage happens to the whole community, you will not be able to file a class action. But they will try to. And another fun fact, you probably heard that Italy prohibited ChatGPT for a while, over GDPR concerns, and then they got back. And they said that rectified the situation, they put up some age limitations, and this is their implementation of the right to be forgotten. So basically, it's on you if you find that ChatGPT is disseminating your personal information. It's on you to find that, to provide OpenAI with specific prompts that you use and screenshots. Here, clear evidence that the model has knowledge of the data subject conditioned on the prompts. So it's okay for them to have that knowledge in principle. They just don't want it to produce the prompts. And I guess what would happen if you submit such a request is that they would patch those prompts, but do nothing about the core problem of holding your personal data without. Yeah, so all of this is not so fun, but I'm not here to talk about OpenAI. I'm here to talk about how it will be different. I would like to discuss show you some data governance efforts that happened in the DeepMind workshop. This is a big effort by over 1,000 researchers from different countries that was happening last year. And as part of that model, they did not, as part of that effort, they didn't just train a large language model, but they also tried to do something about data governance, data sourcing, and data analysis. I would say I don't know in response to many questions because it was a 1,000-people effort, so I don't know everything that was happening. And I speak only for myself and not for. But yes, this is how when it was happening. The outcome of the project was 1 terabyte of data set, and that was used to train Bloom. This is still the largest open weight multilingual language model. And as I said, there were over 1,000 people. The project site is still open, all the publications are online. Important thing is we were building this with fluids, so it's not the case that over the course of this year, first the data governance group figured everything out, and then the other groups used the results of that to do their work. It was all happening in parallel, and we did as much as we could with the parallel efforts. So I was part of this data governance group, which by the way was led by Mark Mitchell, so that's one of those Google editors fired over the statistic paper, which is in commonplace and so on. And this was the first contribution of that group. This was fact from last year, and the paper was called Data Governance and the Large-Scale Data-Driven Management. The key idea here was that we should just keep this part, keep this ethos of what you see is yours to take. We should not ask the question, how far can we get away with, how much can we get away with, but actually, what values would we like to implement, what would we like to do, and how does that play with the laws, with the regulations, and the technical things that are possible. So we decided to start from defining what we wanted to do and what we wanted to guide our research with. And after prolonged discussion in the working group, we came up with this list of values, which we thought that we would try to go on at first to implement in the development of Bloom. So inclusion, autonomy, privacy, just report, licensing, global knowledge, participation. I'll say what we did about all of them, not saying that it was perfect, but an honest attempt. We were trying to take into account not just the people who develop models, not just the people who provide the data, but also people who may be inadvertently affected by the models, the creators of the data, the educators. And this is the core structure that we came up with. It's a bit busy, but so starting in this corner, we have the data rights holders, and these are the people who actually know what the data is. These are the people who have a local knowledge. These are the individual, they know European laws. It can be local libraries, some archive, some research group who collected some data, some industry entity that decided that they want to provide their data or something. So all these people, they actually know what the data is. These people, they have agreements with data hosts, and in these agreements, they can specify how the data can be used. The data hosts host not the actual data, but copies of those data, and this is the interface that the modelers, the people who want to use the data, eventually access. And in between all of this, there's a data stewardship organization, and this is the space to keep debating and improving the structure, because of course this it's something that we build on the fly. Probably for the next 10 to 20 years, we will keep improving and refining the rules of the field. So let's just walk through all these values. Local knowledge is implemented by the fact that the lowest level is the people who actually know what the data is about. And they are free to specify their use cases and restrictions. And that is implemented in real agreement with the data. So they can say, I have this kind of data and I want it to provide it to researchers, or I want it to provide it for commercial access on these and these terms. For just rewards, this can be in principle achieved in the same mechanism. If you want to provide the data for commercial access, you can say, okay, this is how much you want to get for it. We did not, and this will be implemented through the same kind of contract with the data, or eventually with the modelers. We did not have the room to do that, but theoretically I think it's possible. And participation is implemented in the fact that there is this space for everybody to come and say, this is not working for me, this is how it should differently. And the big science itself, again, there were 1,000 people who did their own best to do everything. For privacy, the data providers to begin with, they decide what can be provided. Probably you do not want to share your phone number to begin with. You know it's your data. But after that, you can probably also try to specify some application requirements in this agreement. So let's say you are some local archive and you know that there are addresses with data. And let's say you don't have a technical means yourself to remove that, but again, this is something that can be done individually. We didn't do it, but I think theoretically it's possible for the data providers to say, okay, this data, there's addresses here, this is how they look like. You can use this data on condition that this will be able to be. Theoretically, it's possible. And because nobody really knows what information there is and what are all the possible formats, we would need to have the DSO to continually keep starting and refining definitions of what's private and what is not. For autonomy and contestation, data hosts provide, as I said, not the original data, but the copies of data. And if some data right holder says, okay, I don't want this part of data there, it's this copy that piece of data is removed. So the local library or whoever was holding there is not copy them. But here, that part is removed, and any subsequent copies that are provided to data modelers, they will later. And I guess also the same mechanism could theoretically be used to just hold the repository of everything that will be removed and unprovided, and maybe the data modelers can also use that to implement. We didn't do that, but I guess it's possible. Now, the value of beneficence is the value of do no harm. This was implemented in a license. I said that Bloom was not an open source model, but open weight model, and that's because, unlike a true open source model, there are restrictions on its use. So there was a team of lawyers, and they drafted this license based on standard consultations within big science. And the idea is that anybody who uses Bloom undertakes to not use it in these ways. So don't break laws, don't harm minors, don't disseminate verifiable false information, don't disseminate personal information, don't claim to be human when you are a chatbot, don't defame, don't impersonate, don't do full automated decision making, don't provide medical advice. So this is the list of the things which the big science people thought was the most obvious things to try to avoid with general purpose LLM. So we literally put it in the last course, there's no any license can be broken, as Microsoft did with Copilot. But at least if you're breaking the license, then you know you're breaking it, and theoretically you could report that. Now, inclusion, representation, non-discrimination. So we did our honest best to try to reach out to many communities. And this was done through data sourcing hackathons. Basically, we would invite, we will open call everybody to participate in the committee providing data about their language. So we involved the African community, the machine learning Tokyo, was African Basque or Latinx, an honest effort to call in everybody we know, basically, everybody between. And as a result, we built this catalog, which is public on Marketplace, where you can literally search for, filter by whether the data is downloadable and see what country has how many resources. This is an example of metadata that we collected. So in the hackathon, volunteers would come in and try to provide this structured data about all the data sets that they need in their language. And all of this is public and open. Over 500 resources. So I guess I should just continue because we. But okay, we did all that, and after that there was the 1.6 terabytes rules for training our LLM with. And this was the paper that presented it, and 34 additional authors not shown is what happens when you work in a really big project. I'm not looking forward to putting the big science papers at my university reporting system. But okay, this is the kind of surface analysis for the languages that were included that we had. So of course English is the most represented, but there was quite a bit of French and Spanish. This chart is not very readable, but let's do it. 52% is the sources that were nominated in the way I described. So these are the different sources that were nominated by volunteers to represent different languages. And 38% is still web crawl data. So even after all of this, even after trying to for a year and calling everybody we knew, 1,000 people, we could not get enough data to train an LLM. So this is depressing and not depressing at the same time. We did get that much without basically any government support. So with some support, we should be able to do better. And I learned that there is already this initiative, the European Language Database, which would ideally do something like this, provide support, create more resources for all the different languages in Europe. So yeah, this is how much we could do last year. Let's hope for the future. Yeah, these are the hackathons which you can see. But this is this 38% part. The 38% part included some pseudo-crawl. So these were still sources that were nominated by participants, but this was of the form that okay, web resource that has high quality data for this language. We don't crawl it directly, but we take it. We get the corresponding resources with the crawler quality. Then we used OSPAR, so that's dump, represent dump from common crawl that India and European. This also went full through. So just probably look at an example. Does anybody see that? So this is just one sample of a data set that was collected through the hackathons. And as you see, this is just regular having plain text. Like I said, all of this is actually public and viewable for if you work in these languages that we use in Bloom. And as a result of these times, there's more resources documented for you. Of course, you can't just use any text as is. There was a special team that tried to do possible pre-processing, so identifying non-synthetic text, not certain engine optimization crash, trying to detect personal information in the case of special tokens, trying to remove pornography, apparently it's a big problem, trying to deduplicate, so we did all of that. And then finally we had Bloom, which now you see there's 300 additional text nodes not shown. I know we didn't make such a big splash as ChatGPT, but still it's a model that exists. Let's see what it does. Not very impressive, which is strange because I actually managed to get this answer out with before. But this is also just a plain language model, right? So there's no instruction tuning. But there is also Bloom C, an instruction content version, which public there is that. But even this, the bullet part is, okay, we have the data set, and because we did all this work of trying to collect it we were documented, we can actually, we were able to put the full search index for it. So, to my knowledge, there's now language models for which you can actually query the training data, and Bloom is the latest and the biggest of that category. This will be published in ACL in Neuchâtel. So this is what it looks like, and you can just put in your query without quotation marks. Will be a fuzzy search like here, and you can also use quotation marks, and then it will give you the number of results. No, this is simple plain text search. Yeah, just simple index, but over all of them. And you can even say, you can even tell which part of roots this came from. So in this case, it was from Oscar, this common program. Of course, now that we can see what is inside, we can do some analysis. So you can study what dialects were and were not represented. You can, if you see that the model does something unusual, you can check whether it actually had a chance to learn it before you go into 2 minutes and say that your model learned an Italian language without any data, like Google did. You can check whether the model is up to date. So I asked Google about the Queen Elizabeth and said before. Because of course it knew about Elizabeth the first, but also Elizabeth the second. You can check what meetings it was actually exposed to, like what version of Apple did it see more of, the fruit of the company. You can use it to troubleshoot your pre-processing plan, for example. If you were meant to exclude certain texts, did you exclude them? If you try to remove pornography, did you manage to get rid of it? If you try to remove phone numbers and search for how well it went. You can check for language discrimination. So Bloom is not supposed to know any Danish or Ukrainian. I tried simple credits in both of these languages and both. So I wouldn't claim that, like, if I were to use this to evaluate something multilingual and say that now it generalizes to other languages, I really should not be able to do that. The query is so some of the data, even though we, even the creators of the data, we didn't do that. You can check for benchmark data contamination. So already somebody found that, for example, FMLI, and popular multilingual NLI benchmark, it was absorbed by human training, so we can't use it to evaluate it. And you can actually now ask meaningful questions about this content originality question. You can see if the model plagiarizes something. You can see how original generation is. You can look at those hallucinations. So just as an example, I prompted it with to be or not to be. So this is the my prompt, and this is this is what Bloom said, which is also what Shakespeare said, and I can tell that it saw the original text at least 47 times. So not surprising, right? But here's a different quote. I'm in this earthly world where to do harm is often laudable, to do good and in this world. And not as popular, but this is the prompt, and this is what Bloom said. To do harm is to do good, and to do good is to do harm. So kind of makes sense, but definitely not Shakespeare, right? I checked how many times it observed, and I found it. So it did see it, but not enough to remember it. But okay, where did it get the harm and good part? I guess the most likely explanation is that there are a lot of documents with the phrase to do more harm than good. So it has seen a lot of contexts in which those two concepts occur, and then I guess what it did was to pick up the most likely concept and to stick it in the correct syntactic frame. I'm very happy to be proved otherwise, but at least now we can see how this would have happened. Here's another example. So this question, a trick question for GPT-3, was posed by Neuchâtel study last year. When was the Golden Gate Bridge transported to the set and time of procedures? GPT-3 failed that test. It said that it happened in the second half of the 19th century. So I asked the same question of Bloom, and it also said that it happened in the late 19th century. I guess a lot of historical texts say that something happened in the late 19th century, so everything must have. But okay, why San Francisco to Cairo specifically? I tried to look for San Francisco and Cairo, and there aren't actually much information even about flights between these two locations. So I didn't know how this happened. But this is a question that at least now we can try starting to answer. Yeah, this work is still ongoing. Maybe we will do some follow-up, and if you have any ideas of what to do next to this, or let's collaborate, please get in touch. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. We have some minutes for questions. After that, if you have any, we'll go deeper in the discussion with